Good evening. Welcome to Love Talk. My name is Gregory Morgan, and I welcome you this evening. Thanks for watching my show. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air.
But I was wondering if you, since you do hypnosis,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on the regression therapy, past life regression therapy?
I think it's very beneficial. I happen to have what apparently is, I won't say unique. Other people hold this frame of mind as well. But I will suggest something to you that you can try on for your own thoughts. I'm not saying this is the truth. This is my thoughts about it, since that's you're asking me, right?
Yes, I was wondering if you, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. I think it's very beneficial. And when we talk about past life therapy, okay, I am of the opinion. See, when you talk about past life, there's a presupposition, meaning that you are supposing something beforehand, something and yet presuppositions are often invisible to us. So a presupposition of past life therapy or regression therapy is that time exists in a linear fashion. Would you agree that that's one of the things that we sort of suppose?
Yes.
Yeah, when we say past life therapy, we're automatically assuming that there's a past, a present, and a future, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now quantum physics, and there's a lot of evidence that that's not necessarily the case. And so most people's mind are blown just by that one statement. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you mean time is not linear? Well, we've kind of been taught to learn to think of time in a linear fashion, like a past is over here and the future's over there and the present's right here.
But as far as there are books that are written on
Yes.
that subject.
Well, so I'm going someplace with this, and and listen, I've had past life therapy or regression therapy, and I've had these type of experiences. So I just want to throw this out there because, well, it's a little more complex than that. Okay.
Okay.
Many people come back from past life therapy and it's like, I was Napoleon Bonaparte, or I was, Mother Teresa, or I was, King George III, and so forth, right? Now, this is well known, yes?
Right.
How many of them could there be?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They couldn't have all been Napoleon or
That's right.
Cyrus the Great or whatever, right? And yet, so here's what I'm pointing at with past life therapy. Okay, or regression therapy. I'm calling it past life therapy because that's what we're talking about regressing to, yes?
Right, that's right, absolutely.
Yeah, we're talking about regressing to a supposed past life. Okay, I believe that we as beings are much more vast, if you will, spiritually, than one single life. I don't believe that I just came here this one time and that's it. Right?
Okay, so you believe in reincarnation?
Well, but not like you do. I believe that all of our lives, both past and present, here's the kicker, okay, you ready? Are occurring simultaneously.
Yes, I also understand what you're saying.
Okay, they're all occurring simultaneously, and so I'm going to make a metaphor. It's like this. Right now, wherever you are, if you're watching TV, then it's safe for me to say this. Wherever you're sitting, there are thousands, if not millions, of radio and television and microwaves shooting through the walls, through your body, through the furniture, okay?
Yes, yes.
And in fact, the only way you're able to have this conversation is we're talking over a telephone, there's some waves, and then a satellite that's being bounced off of God knows where, right?
Yes, yes.
And yet we're communicating. So as if it were happening right now, right here. So there's these frequencies, we'll call them past lives, future lives, and present lives for this metaphor, like radio waves. If you were to turn on a radio right now, you could tune into an FM station, let's say 98.3. I don't know what that is, but let's say you were tuned into 98.3. While you're tuned into 98.3, you can't hear 101.5, right?
That's right.
You can only hear the one you're in.
Right, right.
Well, lives are like that, you see.
Yes, yes.
Okay? Lives are like that. Your life, this life, the one you're calling right now, the one I'm calling Gregory, okay?
Okay.
It's a particular frequency that I'm tuned into now, and everybody that's tuned into that frequency, they can see me. Hello. You see? And we can interact and have very, very real experiences. Now, if I go to sleep tonight and I dream, if I wake up in that dream, the one called Gregory is a dream.
Yeah.
The one that's asleep on the bed in my house, that would be a dream to the person that's awake in that dream.
Yes.
I'm tuned into a different frequency at that time. I'm a different Gregory or whatever I am at that time, you see. So past life therapy or regression therapy and hypnotherapy is the ability, and here's what's really great. Your subconscious mind somehow knows this.
Yeah.
It somehow is aware of this and knows this. And so through hypnotherapy and hypnosis, I'll say, through hypnosis, we're able to actually tune into parts of your mind that are already there, and they're operating all the time anyhow. It's just that your conscious mind isn't aware of it. So we're able to, for a moment, slip out of the conscious everyday awareness into what I would call an expanded or greater state of awareness and a wakefulness. Because in hypnotherapy, you're fully awake.
That's right, that's right.
You're fully awake and alert. If you want to drink some water, you could. If you need to go to the bathroom, you could go do that. I mean, you know.
True, that's true.
Yeah, you're fully awake.
Aware,
you're not like necessarily all asleep and zoned out. You're just in a relaxed, alert state in which you begin to remember things. And some of the things that you begin to remember are part of what I'm going to call, for the sake of this conversation, the massed collective consciousness. In other words, in the consciousness of everyone that's alive and that has ever heard of it, there's a Cyrus the Great, and there's a John F. Kennedy, and there's a, do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a Napoleon. In other words, it's part of our collective humanity consciousness, you see? And
not
so,
necessarily.
but it doesn't, just because you remembered it and you had an experience of it,
does not mean that.
It doesn't mean that you were actually incarnated in a physical body of John F. Kennedy or something. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean that.
Is that similar to actual dreams, basically?
Well, very much so, yes, because if you thought of your subconscious mind as have you ever seen one of those giant astrodomes that like 50 million people can watch a game?
Yeah.
Those big domes, like, you know, you could fly a helicopter around inside the thing. It's so big, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you thought of your subconscious mind like one of those giant domes full of information, and your conscious mind would be about like a golf ball sitting on top of it.
I see.
You know, it's outside, it's above it, and yet it has, if you could get access to all of that information that's stored in your subconscious mind, you're a genius. There's tons of stuff that you know, all about past lives and future lives. There's a lot of things that we could become aware of. Now, that's terrifying to most people, yes?
Yes.
Even the thought of it could be scary because we think that we will lose control of our mind, or that we will become insane, or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, probably not. Probably you're going to come right back to being who you are.
Well, apparently, based on these books, I mean, I don't know you. I'm sure you're familiar with Brian Weiss, but I've read The Many Lives, Many Masters. Yes,
me too. I have too, and these are all great and very informative, and I think people should read them.
A lot of people were helped through this, and I don't know, and he even got some information from what he's,
Yes.
He says in his books that he's got some really, very worthy information that he actually used, and that's when was the start of his regression therapy. That's when he started to practice that. But
agreed. I just want you to know that I don't mean by anything that I say to discredit any of that research. I intend only to add to it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I understand
rather than telling people, rather than people believing, I had an experience of being, Napoleon Bonaparte, therefore I used to be him.
Yeah.
That's not as likely as what I'm saying.
In the unconscious memory, like a dome, they have massive information. But I also feel that not everyone has that massive information, though.
They do.
A lot of people have less, and some people have more.
No, it's not less or more. It's about.
You think it's about the same?
Well, if you have a radio and I have a radio, your radio may have a bigger antenna or more powerful receptor, right? Maybe I've got a little 9-volt transistor radio, but you've got one of those big ones with a lot of cables and antennas, right?
Yeah, but
it doesn't mean that
Einstein could have a lot more information, and based on reincarnation, if he was reincarnated in, in another body, he obviously would have a lot more information than just I would have. Is that right? Am I right, or do you think that I'm kind of like I'm wrong as far as thinking that I might not have that massive information in conscious versus him, where we both have the same amount of information we would have if we were to, tap into our unconscious mind?
Well, what I'm saying is that the information is there.
Okay.
And it is available to whoever has the consciousness or the antenna, if you will, to tune into it.
Okay.
The consciousness and the awareness to tune into it. So people that we've considered to be enlightened, to be prophets, to be Christ-like, to be enlightened people, are people who are open to it and who are receiving it and who are able to receive this information and transmit it by giving it words and talking to people, right? Writing it down, and still.
It's just a matter of being open to it.
Well, yes, open to it, and it does take a certain amount of discipline and rigor, because it has been said, and many psychologists will, I'm sure, agree with this, if you were to have the gates of your subconscious, the flood open, and your conscious mind be flooded with all of the information that you do have access to, you would sort of go instantly insane.
I see, yes.
Your ability to function and even care about functioning normally could be impaired, you see?
Yes.
Right? And so this is what happens with people who've taken a lot of LSD, for example. Back in the 60s, right? People used to take LSD, and it would open the gates of their consciousness, and then, to an outside observer, it would look like they were totally insane right now, right? And then the effects would wear off, and they'd come back to being...
All of a sudden have, at some point, been doing drugs, and all of a sudden, at some point, their consciousness has opened up, and they went crazy.
Like I said, it requires a certain amount of discipline and rigor in order to be conscious and aware of, and yet behave in a way that's conducive to your life, yes?
Yes, as far as not using that power in the wrong...
Yeah, I used to joke that the only difference between an enlightened person and a crazy person is that the enlightened person knows how to act normal.
That's right, they will have to...
They didn't forget how to act normal, right? They can still keep functioning in the world and behaving in a normal fashion, which requires a certain amount of discipline and rigor. That's what I'm talking about, you see?
Yes, I do understand this
So
part of it,
the job of a hypnotherapist is to, first of all, choose your clients well, make sure that they are normal, healthy people. Every normal, healthy people, by the way, have issues, right?
That's right.
Everybody's got issues. Normal, healthy people has issues, so it's normal and healthy to have issues. If you have no issues, there's something wrong. Right?
Yeah,
if you got no issues whatsoever,
no issues.
Yeah, if you got no issues whatsoever, you might want to check your pulse because you may be dead, right?
You may be crazy.
Yeah, or crazy, right? So normal people have issues. What I always look for when I'm dealing with my clients is, okay, you got issues. Are they dealing with their issues in a way that would be considered, maybe they drink too much or maybe they eat too much. That's normal, right? That's one of the normal ways that people deal with stuff. It's not healthy, but it's not crazy. Do you see what I'm saying?
Gregory, do you think that the prophets, for instance, they were ordinary people, but you believe that they had some extraordinary,
ability,
power, right? Because that wouldn't be right. Or
listen, I'll probably get in trouble for saying
something at that time.
I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but I am going to say it because it's my belief and you asked me. And it's really what I teach.
It's your belief.
It's what I teach people, okay? And it's my teaching.
Asking your
right?
opinion.
My teaching is this. Those prophets had no more ability than you do. They spent a lifetime or maybe many lifetimes working in a particular fashion. They cared about enlightenment. They cared about the world. They cared about knowing God. So they searched for that. And listen, whatever you search for, you find.
Yeah.
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 Right?
Yeah,
whatever you search for, you eventually find. So you spend a lifetime, you know, I can tell you that for all of my life and continuing on today, ever since I don't know, I had a very powerful vision when I was about 18 years old. That maybe I'll share with you sometime, but I had what anybody else might call a vision or an enlightening experience, a peak experience, and it opened up something in my mind, okay? And I saw something, now it went away, and it's come back and it's gone away a number of times in my life. But I could not deny what I knew and what I comprehended and what I felt and what I understood at those moments. So I spent a lifetime pursuing that experience.
Okay.
Okay? And it's had me seek teachers and learnings and disciplines for an entire lifetime. I'm 59 years old. I've been doing this since I was 18.
Wow, that's a long time.
That's a long time, and I've spent well over $1 million, probably more closer to $2 million, traveling around the world, taking workshops, studying with people, living in monastic type environments, being aesthetic, being a vegetarian, meditating, 12 hours a day, all kinds of stuff in pursuit of that experience and being able to share it and teach it and with other people. I'm a guy from.
Why do you think you had that vision all of a sudden? I mean, you were just an ordinary teenager, 18 years old. You didn't have any, you weren't.
Well, I wasn't ordinary.
I
wasn't really ordinary. I had left home at the age of 14, and I lived on my own ever since. I mean, till today, I never went back home to my parents' house. So, at the age,
I mean, you have.
I had had some powerful experiences between the age of 14 and 18. I can tell you.
Oh, I see.
that led to
your experiences.
That led to me having an experience like that.
At 18.
Pardon me?
I said you had experiences, but not as profound as this one that you had when you were 18 years old.
Yeah, and so over the years, what I'm trying to say is that by pursuing I was just joking with one of my friends in San Diego on the way over. I was talking on the phone, and I said, while all my friends were out watching the football game and, going to beer drinking things after the game and, doing all the stuff that they were doing, I was like a nerd. I was like reading philosophy, studying religion, learning how to meditate, practicing martial arts, qigong, because that's what interested me.
Like you were, but not from that age, though. Mine started from like 27 or 8, I think.
Yeah, and that's what interested me, and so it's no mistake that after a lifetime of doing that, I would have a company called Embrace Growth. I would have a television show called Love Talk. I would have people like yourself who've been pursuing enlightenment for a lifetime calling me on the phone, asking me very enlightening questions.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? That's not an accident.
And I was wondering what your thoughts were before I went on this appointment.
Yeah. It's not an accident, you see. It's by design.
No, I really think
I created that future.
But I knew that you do hypnosis. You've never mentioned anything about regression therapy, so
okay, but
probably are not doing that. But I just thought you must know about it.
Well, I do that, but not for. I wouldn't call it regression therapy. You see?
Okay. What do you call it?
I take people to the place and when people come to see me, before I even let them come and see me, they have to be able to articulate what it is. What's the problem? I ask them very simple questions. What's the problem? What has you calling and wanting to come see me? What's the specific issue that you're dealing with in your life? Right. How is that manifesting? In other words, how do you know you have that issue? Right?
Yeah.
How do you know you even have that issue? And then I have them write a 3-page story by hand. Of a day in their life, a perfect day in their life, from when they wake up in the morning till they go to sleep at night. I have them write me a story, a minimum of 3 pages, handwritten, in which they describe to me in detail all of the people and places and things and events that happened during that day, now that this issue is gone.
Oh.
Okay? So even that question requires their subconscious mind to call forth a future out of the infinite possible futures that are out there and begin to manifest it on the page through their writing by hand. So they're already, the question itself is a hypnotic question.
Right.
Tell me the story of your life in one day of your life now that this issue that you've had all your life is gone. So I take the issue away before they even come to see me. And then they produce the results that they wanted to produce all along. Then I work with them for 8, 10, 12 hours to make sure that that's the future that they're going to have. And that by the time we're done. So do I do regression therapy? I take them back to the time where the issue occurred. Now, some people say, well, I can't remember. It was several events. And I go, you know the one, that one there. And they know. Right? There will be one time where that will pop out in your mind, and I'll go, that's the one. And then I take them back to a time just before that happened, in a time of safety before that thing ever happened. And I have them observe it from above so that they can actually see it happening and learn the lessons that they were supposed to learn as a soul, as a spirit. Why did they cause that in their life? And so, is it regression therapy? I call it, it's called timeline therapy, where I move them back in time. And sometimes we do move them back to before their actual birth. Sometimes they go all the way back to when they were in the womb, and they may even go back beyond that, but that's not the point. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The point is to find the original incident that the subconscious mind gives them.
That's right, yeah.
And then take them to a place of safety before that event ever took place. Because we're programmed, the things that we get stuck by, we call them significant emotional events, right? And significant emotional events have certain characteristics. One is the intensity of it, right? How intense was it? So, the other thing was speed. Like, did it happen suddenly?
Yeah.
Or did you see it coming and then finally it got there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So did it, or was it something that just came upon you suddenly, right? So intensity, speed has a lot to do with it, and also repetition. Did it happen again and again? Did it keep happening after that? Right? Did you have an intense emotional experience and after that happened, it kept going? Because a lot of times, like when there's been incest in a family, for example, it kept happening.
Yeah.
Right? And so the main thing is to get them back before the first time. Eventually people begin to get in touch with why did they even have that experience in the first place? Because there's always something that the soul that wanted to heal, wanted to know, wanted to grow with.
That's right.
And when you get that learning, first of all, you never have that experience again. That nothing like that will ever happen again. And because you'll see it coming 100 miles away, you'll go, I know that one, right?
Yeah.
Once you, in other words, more easily said, when you learn the lesson, you never have to learn it again, right? You don't have to go learn to drive again.
No.
Right? You don't have to learn to, I don't know, tie your shoes again. Once you learn it, right? So it's just part of who you are, and so it's done. So the same is true for significant emotional experiences or traumatic experiences that have caused an interruption in your neurology. That's what advanced neurological repatterning is about, or NLP is called neuro-linguistic programming. That's what that part of it's about.
Okay.
It's repatterning or rewiring the circuits so that you never have to have that experience again. And it's not like you get amnesia and you forget it. In fact, you remember it more vividly than ever before. And yet it has no emotional impact on you. It's like, okay, well, that's something that happened when I was a kid, or, you know, it hurt me a lot at the time, but thank God I learned from it.
Yeah.
You know, I look back on the things that happened in my lifetime and I'm thankful for them. I'm grateful for them, and not in some kind of positive thinking kind of way, but truly authentically grateful because they gave me a kind of strength that I wouldn't have had otherwise, or a kind of insight and learning that I just wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't have that specific experience. And to tell you the truth, when I look back on my life now, it's almost as if it was perfectly planned, like some master plan, like those what I used to call negative experiences were timed and planned and
they
perfectly.
Were positive.
Perfectly, so that I would get what I needed to learn.
Yeah, exactly. So you do believe in destiny?
I believe that we write our own destiny. Your destiny is written by what you're doing right now.
Destiny, yeah.
Your tomorrow is given by what you're doing right now.
Yeah. As far as like everyone's, just like you said, the master plan that was already written for you.
Well, yes, but I didn't want to make it seem like in other words, it's not etched in stone. There's always choice at every point in the way, yes?
Yes, you can do it, but the destiny, the bottom line will be always the same.
Possibly. I believe that there are certain pivotal...
Getting to it, like say for instance, in order to get to your day of the dying, that day is already basically, it's almost like written in the stone, but you have different ways of getting to that day. You could go through that day, peacefully. You could do it through that day with,
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yes, and again, I would modify that point of view just a bit to say that nobody actually knows when they're going to die, right?
That's right.
You don't know if you're going to make it through the day, right?
True, that's true.
You don't actually know that. Nobody does.
Know that,
and so we could choose to live our life fully and completely right now. Like, what if today was my last day? I want to make sure it's a good one, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I make a difference with people, or that I do and say things that will benefit other people, because why not? Because I can.
Yes.
Right? I might as well.
Yes,
so
of course. I agree with you on that too. Yeah.
Now, as far as the day I'm going to die being written in destiny, I'm going to tell you, I don't honestly know the answer to that one, because nobody does.
Nobody does.
Nobody really does.
That's
right?
True.
Who would you go to ask that? Right? Nobody actually knows the truth about that.
Go to ask anyone that. It's just written on on our books, in our
Yeah, they're going to tell you something that they read and believed. See, a belief is a conviction, is an idea that you are convinced is true.
Yeah.
It's a belief. It's something that you're convinced is true. That doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it true. It just it's true for you.
Your Torah or your Quran or whatever, but it does. But even a higher power, that's something. Well, I do believe in that. So
what is it?
Very sure about that.
What do you believe in?
God.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that as far as like and obviously the prophets have brought in these books and have written in the books that God has brought these messages that the day that you're going to be, the day nobody knows the day that they're dying, only He does, and it's already set ahead of time. So based on that, we read and we believe based on that. Well, of course, there are people who don't believe it, but I personally do believe it.
Okay.
But I do have a certainty as far as knowing that there's a higher power and that's God. But I don't have a certainty to think that the day that I do believe that everyone dies obviously at some day, but I can't relate to that. That I can't really make much of it as to. I was telling you that, or you were telling me that you can, there are avenues, there are different possibilities. Yet there are different possibilities, but then I don't understand how that day, how can you go to it if you're like a serial killer, you die the same day as if you were an honest person and living the honest life. I can't really.
Well, no, I don't. I don't personally believe that. I believe that there are beings, and some of them are alive today. And I would have you research Taoist, T-A-O, is the Tao, or they say Tao here in America, but
what's his first name?
Tao. It's not a person's name. It is a philosophy, a way of life.
Tao is a philosophy of life. Okay.
Taoism, and research what they called the immortals. Now, the immortals aren't necessarily people that live forever and ever, but they're people who live until they choose to leave.
Oh.
And they lived to be, and there are still
you're
some.
You're talking about some of the yogis that they lived.
hundreds of years, a couple of 100 years, there's still people around like that.
700 years or 800 years.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of them. But
well, you don't see a lot of them in whatever town it is you live in.
Of course, this is something that I've read basically that in India, a lot of the yogis that lived to be that long, and also there were well, in the Indian, it was in the Indian or Buddhist, that these yogis have actually can be in different places, different times as well.
Yeah, when you get to that level, there's a lot of things that you can do that it's better not to even talk about because nobody can really understand it, and besides which, it begins to enter into the mythology and superstition and things like that, so people go, oh yeah, right.
I know.
So I don't talk about it that much.
You have to, I mean, this is also, I've studied a lot of religions as well, and that's the reason that I know that information from that time. But I agree with you. I mean, to a normal person's mind, these things are very strange, and they're unbearable to even believe. Or maybe different people have different belief systems. So I really am not about to bring out something that is going to sound crazy in this program.
But to a normal everyday person, it's kind of predictable that you will live a certain number of years, and if you stay healthy, your body will begin to degenerate, and over time, and you might live to be 80 or 90 or 100 years old, and like that. That is a belief only. All I'm saying is that is a belief.
That's a belief.
It's not necessarily true. And I believe that Deepak Chopra wrote a great book about it called Ageless Body, Timeless Mind.
Yes, I have that book.
And, in which he puts forth the idea that you don't necessarily have to age.
Yes, I know.
And I look younger now than I did 10 years ago. If I showed you pictures...
You're talking about yourself?
Myself.
Oh, okay.
I look younger now than I looked there's actually photographs in my library that I'm destroying because I looked old.
Okay.
I used to look older.
Has the age affected you at all as far as your energy level is concerned?
Well, yes and no. I used to be a professional dancer and martial artist, and I was super active, like 12, 15 hours a day, running and jumping and flipping and, kicking and flying around, so yeah, I don't do that anymore. But I go to yoga classes and martial arts classes and go to the gym, and my energy level's just great, and it fits my lifestyle.
That's a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing.
I don't think I'm going to go put on some leotards and go do a dance performance or anything, but
that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good thing that you also feel that you look younger than you used to look when you were.
People tell me that.
Younger.
People tell me that, and I can see it in the photographs. So, and the show's not about me and my state of physical fitness so much as I'm an example of something that I'm living something. I'm not just talking about it. I'm not just reading books about it. I'm applying it in my life and living it. And that's really where I wanted to go with this conversation. Pardon me?
Regardless of what will be in the future, where no one knows and it's unknown.
Yeah, I'd like to be one of those people that we talked about, the immortals, that choose when I die. Choose when I transition into another state, not just have my body degenerate and then I have to go now because it's used up.
Well, if you wait another 10 years, we might get close to the immortality where they're going to be. The scientists are going to come up with a lot of new techniques to keep you as young as possible. In fact, they might just give you like in 20 years you might not ever die. So.
Well, I think that that's achievable from the inside out. I believe that it is a state of mind, and it's what I teach, because it's my experience of life, is that you change your state of mind, and because every molecule in your body is made up of atoms, protons, electrons, neutrons, and all of them respond to thought. All of them respond to thought.
Energy and thought.
In other words, they are energy.
They are energy.
You're just made up of energy. If we took all of the space out of that's between the molecules, atoms, protons, neutrons, all that stuff out of your body, your entire body would fit in a teaspoon. Okay, it would be a very heavy teaspoon, but it would be, that's how much actual matter is there. Okay, so it's you are mostly space. Your physical body is mostly space, and it's responding to thoughts, images, ideas, emotions, energy, in other words. Energy.
Yes, yes.
Right? It's responding to energy. So you have negative energy, or you have a belief, a thought that I'm going to get old and die. Guess what's going to happen? They're all going to say, okay.
So if you have the capability, I mean, like those yogis, the capability to keep every negative thought away from you, which is, you know, it's enormous amount of, I don't know.
Well, it's not about keeping it away from you. It's about allowing it to be.
Your mind could be that you could every time bring the positive thought in your head instead of, and letting the negative stay away from you.
Yeah, and so that's what you know, bringing it back to the course of this conversation, is that's really what hypnotherapy is. It's a therapy that happens in a state of trance or hypnosis, and a lot of people are mistaken about what trance and hypnosis means, but a trance or hypnosis is simply, if you've ever watched a movie and found yourself moved, touched, inspired, angry, part of the movie. In other words, you're participating in the movie, and yet it's just a movie, right? That's a state of trance. If you've ever read a book and you found yourself in the story and, you know, learning things with the characters in the story and like part of the story and like it's part of your life, that's a trance.
Yeah.
Right? So hypnotherapy is very much like that. We have a conversation in which the person is fully engaged in a relaxed and alert state of awareness, and then we're able to go back and see, well, what is this issue? How do you know you even had this issue? Where did this issue begin in the first place? What would you learn from this issue? What would your life look like without that issue? Let's talk about that, you know? Right. And what does this issue cost you so far? And what issue, right? So that they begin to loosen their grip on this issue that they have, which is because if you've looked at movies like The Secret or learned anything about the law of attraction, we attract to us that which we are focused on. So if you're focused on your problem, guess what you get more of? You know, if you're focused on I'm broke, then guess what you get more of? Bills, right? If you focus on abundance, prosperity, well-being, joy, then you will begin to have more of that attracted into your life, and you'll begin to actually live that. If you want peace, wisdom, fulfillment, partnership, compassion, wisdom, fun, then you will begin to, if you focus on those things, then you will begin to attract those in your life. Most people are attracted on the opposite, are attracting the opposite because they're focused on that.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so to get back to your question, regression therapy is about taking you back to that place where you got stuck so that you can let go of that and move on. And it happens like that. It's so fast, you wouldn't believe it.
Well, you basically do believe in it, correct?
Like I said, belief is is an idea that you are convinced is true.
That would work.
That what?
That it would work.
That it works, yeah, absolutely that it works. You bet.
Tapping into the, you know.
Yep, absolutely, I believe that it works.
Yeah, and then you kind of awaken that part where you don't understand it, and find a reason to certain things. And I heard to certain illnesses they can find why it happened. I hear that people who have had physical problems have, after they were tapped into the past, they have got to a period in their time in the past that they were able to, pinpoint where that problem started, and then after it was talked about with the regression, or they found out where it came from, then their pain. It's in a way, it's just kind of disappeared.
I'm going to share a story with you. It's very personal, but I'm going to share a story with you that I've never shared with my television audience, but I think it's appropriate to this conversation. You can't see it very well, but there's a scar right here on my eyebrow.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Where a chunk is missing from my eyebrow. And that's where I was hit in the eye with a rock when I was a little kid.
Oh, wow.
And you know, as little kids, we used to throw rocks and get in rock fights, okay? We were rowdy kids, and we'd throw rocks and, you know, as a way of having fun. And I got hit in the eye with a rock. And, you know, I had to have stitches, and that's not the important part of the story.
Yeah.
The important part of the story is that over my lifetime, through my teenage years and up into my early years, in my early 20s, I kept getting injured over and over again. I'd turn and bump in the same spot.
Oh,
I would turn and bump my head. I'd be walking down the street, something would fall and hit right there. I just kept getting injured over and over in the same spot. Now I'm alert and aware enough to realize that, hey, what's going on here?
Exactly.
Right? I got a whole body. How come I keep getting hit in the same spot, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
If there's something flying through the air, it's going to hit me right here, right? So I kept getting hit. I've got a couple of scars. You can't see them, right? But the little scars in my head, I kept getting hit in this area right here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
One time, I was in my early 20s. I was sitting on the couch with my father, okay, who was towards the end of his life at that time. Okay, he died shortly after this, and I told him about a dream I had.
Yeah.
I dreamed that I was a little kid in an old country school, almost like a log cabin type of thing, in an old country school, and there were some big boys that were sort of beating me up and hitting me. That I had an older brother. Now I'm the oldest in my family, so I don't have an older brother, but I had an older brother in my dream, and he came running around the corner with a stick. And he beat these boys away from me and chased them off. And I tell my father this, and he starts crying.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
And I'm like, Dad, what's up? He said, that was me. I remember that day.
What?
And I said, what are you talking about? My father had a little brother that was weak. He had a weak body. He was little and petite because all the men in my family were big, but he was little and more weak than the others.
Oh.
And they were beating him up, and he, my father, when he was young, beat those boys up with a stick and chased them off.
Oh my God.
Okay.
You about that? You had no idea.
I dreamed a real sequence that had actually happened in his life. Now I'll say the next thing about this. He said, my little brother was the most important person in my life. I loved him more than anything.
Oh.
And when he was a little kid, he was swinging this little brother around out in the snow. They were playing a game, and he was swinging him around by his feet. Okay, like boys might do. And hit his head on the fence post and knocked him unconscious. That injury, because they lived way out in the country. In my father's time, they lived out in the country, and they still had wagons.
Yeah.
Okay? It was like 1918 or something, okay? Okay?
Wow.
And they still had wagons, and it was winter, and they would have to have ridden the wagon to town many miles away to take the kid to the doctor.
Okay.
So they didn't. They just tried to take care of him at home. It got gangrene, and he died.
Oh my God.
And my father
used
to go out in the fields where they played and talk to him all the time.
Oh my God, this is crazy. Wow. Wow, that's it.
And when my father told me this story, we both cried together. We had many memories together, more than I have time to tell you here. But we had many memories together, and that whole lifetime as a young little boy came back to me. And I remembered it consciously, sitting on the couch with my father. I wasn't in hypnotherapy. I wasn't anywhere. I was with my dad sitting on a couch in Tulsa, Oklahoma, okay? And I began to remember this whole thing. And I told him things about the field and the things that he saw and where the land looked like there and all kinds of things. that I remembered about the place where my father was born, and I'd never been there. I don't know where my father was born. It was a little place out in the country in Oklahoma.
Wow.
In Indian territory, like near a reservation. So I'd never been there physically in my life, but I told him what it looked like there and everything, because I could see it from above.
Yeah.
And I could see my father in the field. Now, once we talked that and had that conversation, I've never been hit here ever again.
Really?
I don't know. That whole phenomenon of me bumping my head on the right side right here just stopped happening and never happened again.
Huh.
You know? So when you say, do I believe in past life therapy and regression therapy? Yes, I do. I've had some personal experiences in that domain. Although I wasn't at a therapist's office, I dreamed it. And I had a real conversation with a real live man, my father.
I want to throw something at you right here, but it's probably, I don't know if I'm off or whatever. Is it possible that, because your father was talking about experiences that when he was a boy, right?
Yeah, he was. I told him a dream about me as a little. In the dream, I was the little brother. Okay, in the dream, I was his little brother, but I didn't recognize that. I didn't recognize that
his brother. What I'm trying to say is that, how old was he when you saw him in that dream? But how old did you say he was?
He was probably around.
Your brother.
I think he was around 12 or 13. He was like a young man.
And his little brother was how old?
7 or 8.
And he died in the age of 9?
Something like that, yeah. Before 10.
That his soul was reincarnated in you?
Well, that would be the logical conclusion, yes.
Because you have,
it's like, maybe I'm my father's little brother or something like that.
Exactly,
and so
because you had this experience, and it always is about somebody who has happened to them.
So it's possible
happening to you in that, and then this happened, and then this pain went away after told you that incident because you remembered it.
Yeah, it's possible. It is very possible. I mean, it's one of an infinite number of possibilities I have to consider. Yes.
Yeah.
And another could be that there's another possible interpretation might be that that I remembered something that happened to my dad and had that it's in the collective unconsciousness as we spoke about earlier, and that I'm a sensitive enough person to have picked up on it. That's another possible interpretation.
You were hit in that spot and you kept getting hit on that same spot.
So
doesn't have anything to do with doesn't explain why you would have to have that experience.
Exactly.
That doesn't. But in the other, explaining it different way, there could be a possibility.
It is a possibility, and so I want to leave the show with, because I got a few seconds left, and we didn't even break for commercial today. I'm going to get in trouble.
My conversation with you, and I do appreciate your input in this, because it really cleared up a lot of things for me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your question and your inquiry, and I just want to leave you with this one last thing, and that is, whatever interpretation gives you personally the most power and freedom, that's the one you want to go with. Okay? Thank you. There's not a right one or the truth, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the truth, you don't have the truth, and all those prophets and sages and everything, they don't have the only truth either. And I would be very shy and stay away from anybody that says that this is the only truth, okay? I don't believe that. Whatever truth gives you personally the most power, that's the one you should go with. And if it no longer gives you power, drop it.
Drop it?
If you have a belief or in your life that no longer gives you power, you find that it's a disempowering belief, get rid of it. Get a new belief.
I'll get a new belief, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Or go, go further with your search.
Yes, keep going, because beliefs are like ladders. They're a ladder that will get you over a wall. You're not supposed to drag the ladder around with you and say, I got the only ladder.
That's right.
Right?
That's right,
it's a ladder that'll get you over a wall so you can see to a higher place. You're supposed to keep going.
You're supposed to keep going.
Not keep climbing up and down the ladder and telling everybody and selling tickets to use the ladder. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like, if that works for you, climb it, right?
Yeah, that does.
Right?
Of course, that makes
If it gets you to a higher place, then use that, and then leave it behind when it's no longer appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah?
That's a very good advice. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for calling, and that's my show for the whole day, so thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
It's awesome. Thank you. Thanks for your call. All right, well, that's it. That's been Love Talk today. We've talked about everything from love and relationships to reincarnation and regression therapy. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I love doing it, and I will see you back here again next week on Love Talk.
The Embrace Growth app is finally here. You start by signing in just as you would online, and from there, you'll see all of your account settings. Once in the app, you'll have access to events and all of Embrace Growth's original content. Registering for workshops and seminars is easier than ever, and tools for managing your profile and options are built right in. Schedule private sessions and connect with the global Embrace Growth community. Download it today on the App Store.
یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند باشید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان. تورنتو 21 تا 23 سپتامبر، همبورگ 19 تا 21 اکتبر، ایروان ارمنستان 15 تا 17 آگوست، لس آنجلس 2 تا 4 نوامبر، 310 460 2600. از این پس برنامه دنیای عشق رو از جم یو اس ای روزهای جمعه 9 شب، شنبه 11:30 شب، یک شنبه 1:30 ظهر و دوشنبه 8:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس دنبال کنید. خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان در برنامه دنیای عشق جوابگوی سوالات شما هستند و به مباحث مهمی همچون ازدواج، تربیت فرزندان، افسردگی، طلاق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، خیانت و هزاران موضوع متنوع دیگر می‌پردازند. برای اطلاعات بیشتر از برنامه‌ها، سمینارها و کارگاه‌های خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان با شماره 310 460 2600 تماس بگیرید و یا از اپلیکیشن و یا وبسایت Embrace Growth دیدن کنید.
Welcome to the Embrace Growth app. There's a new way to communicate and join in. Create your free account online and sign into the app. Manage your profile on the go and choose between English or Farsi. Register for events and schedule appointments more easily than ever. Stream audio, video, and download books all over Wi-Fi or cellular. Sign up for workshops and seminars right on your phone, and access your audio and video library in the palm of your hand. Take your favorite lessons from Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan with you. Download it today on the App Store. haven for the weary soul, a source of inspiration and community, redesigned to bring you meaningful experiences and unforgettable events. We are a worldwide community of vibrant individuals, displayed in the people who are a part of it, from many nations, backgrounds, and beliefs. Through powerful outreach programs, the struggles of everyday life are confronted and conquered, transforming those who participate into the best versions of themselves. One-on-one sessions are available to keep you headed in the right direction, coupled with the best resources to remind you how to live, whether at home or elsewhere. Programs designed for men, providing the building blocks of maturity, commitment, integrity, and leadership, paving the way for productive and fulfilling manhood. Beyond an understanding of masculine leadership is its application in daily life and development into something truly unique. Exclusive training for women, encouraging growth and empowerment through an acceptance of their true identities, redefining interactions, and changing the viewpoint through which life is seen. Embracing the woman within and accessing facets of your personality hidden beneath the surface. Showing our youth the value of integrity and reliability by creating an indwelling desire to succeed with honor, basing the future on a solid foundation of ideals that will guide them through life, leading by example, and showing others how to clearly convey their thoughts in a compelling way, creating a culture of mature leaders who can help others achieve self-confidence and their goals. Real people and real lives are changed for the better. With every event, more are touched and come to an understanding of their place in this world and their community. Embrace Growth is run by a passionate team and led by the diligence and inspiration of Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan, who consistently teach life lessons based on what works, rather than the passing fads of the times.
برنامه دنیای عشق با دکتر آزیتا سایان، برنامه‌ای که تمامی سوالهای شما را جواب می‌دهد. ازدواج، عشق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، فرزندان، والدین، خیانت. از یوتیوب لایو استریم، فیسبوک و اینستاگرام لایو. سه‌شنبه ها و پنجشنبه ها 10 شب به وقت ایران و 10:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس. تلفن تماس با استودیو 818 532 6655.
Embrace Growth has a new home online where you can easily register for workshops and events, order from the online store, and be part of the worldwide community of Embrace Growth graduates. You'll be able to see Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan in your favorite seminars. Visit us today at embracegrowth.com.
در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. ایروان ارمنستان 7 تا 9 فوریه، لس آنجلس 22 تا 24 فوریه، تورنتو 15 تا 17 مارچ و همبورگ 26 تا 28 آپریل. 310 460 2600.